What is going on? This is the Zim, and you're listening to the MCU Aftershow on the Zim video or on Creative Mind Podcast. Just a reminder, this is both a podcast and a video on YouTube. So thanks a lot wherever you found it, wherever you're supporting from. Really appreciate it. Let's check it out. So much to say off the top. Let's see what we had for like last week with the show. We had about 46 views on YouTube, and on the on the podcast side we had 15 plays. Hey, whatever, maybe let me know where you found it and where you're listening to it. If you did find it on the podcast side and you want to comment on anything, I'd love your thoughts and ideas and input to the show. So jump over to the YouTube portion and go to the comment section and just throw it in there. That's the way to do it. Let's see what did we have anything. So on the YouTube side, on comments, we had a few comments from people's. We had somebody said, the Jester over on YouTube said he thought that Doctor Strange was going to show up on WandaVision. That's what we want to. I'm going to start off today's show with a little like, what have we, now that we've had a week to digest WandaVision, what do we think? Like, have we thought more about it? Have you watched it a few more times? Have you watched it all the way through? Have you decided to go like, dude, now that I can see them all at once, I'm just going to sit down and watch them from episode 1 through 9? I haven't done that. I'm not sure I will, because I watched them all multiple times when they aired, so I think I'm good there. But maybe when like another, like in a year, whenever like Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness comes out, that's when I'll check it out. But yeah, has anything come up for you over the last week that, now that you've ruminated on it, you've been able to say, oh, that's something I noticed? I feel like there is for me, but I wrote down some things. One of the things that came up was, other people, like I said before, I have now four different outlets that I kind of respond to. So this show is not only it's kind of an after show of, when we watch the show, WandaVision or Falcon and Winter Soldier is coming up. I'll respond to the show itself, but then I'll also respond to other people, like what are they saying? So it's John Campea on YouTube. It's New Rockstars on YouTube. Actually, they're all on YouTube. It's the Rob Core, Comic Book Explained, Pop Culture Explained, and now Robert Meyer Burnett, who actually works with John Campea, but he has his own show that I've been listening to. So he brought something, came up on one of his shows, which I actually kind of brought up already once, but it's the idea, like, but I didn't really distinguish it the way I heard them distinguish it on the show. It's within WandaVision, it kind of really felt like, they had two shows, like almost two separate shows, because like the quality basically of like when they were not 100% all the time, but on average, when they were inside the Hex and it was focused on Wanda and Vision and Agnes, it really felt like the quality of the show, it was like a better quality show, like the cinematic, like everything about it. But when they were outside the Hex in like the sword places and stuff, it felt like a made for TV kind of production. So I don't know. Somebody else brought that up as like inside. It was like distinguished, like you could see the line between it. And I don't know. I doubt that was on purpose, but just something that I noticed. And seems like other people have noticed too. What else we got? So yeah, the Jester thought that Doctor Strange was going to show up, but he was like, Scarlet Witch is just simply wow. Yeah, pretty dope. I mean, yeah. Honestly, is there any MCU character and costume that is just like stupid? They've done a really good job of the costuming. Some of the X-Men costumes got a little dumb looking. but I think I don't know, the black, but they were, production level, like anyways, that's a whole nother thing. We're not talking about Fox Marvel. We're talking about MCU Marvel. I mean, we'll talk about Fox Marvel sometimes. We'll talk about all Marvel, but right now we're definitely talking about MCU. But anyways, yeah. So what else we got? Uh, okay, Barry M said he liked the Halloween episode the best. So that's something I forgot to mention last week was what were your favorite episodes? What were your favorite episodes? Let me know in the comments, like, what was your favorite episode of WandaVision? Mine were easily episode 4 when they kind of reintroduced Jimmy Woo, with the card trick and everything, and then just kind of introduction to like more of the outside of the hex kind of environment. I really like that episode a lot. You got all the characters started to introduce there, Darcy and Jimmy and all them, and then episode 8 was by far my favorite episode. Like episode 8 was like just the best, because it was so. And I'm a big fan of going narrow, going small. When I watch movies, oftentimes what the problem is with the movie is in the development of the characters, and they are trying to do too much. Like they try to get too big with it. But if you just get small and focused on less characters, and then it's usually a better movie. That's my biggest problem with. So Ready Player One is a book that came out recently as a movie, and I love the book. I think it's like my favorite book of all time now. And but the movie, like, they just took it in a direction that just made it kind of like, man, you missed such a great opportunity. Like the character of Wade. I mean, I know I'm going really far off, but the character of Wade, like, you could have done so much with his psychological process of like being broke and fat and then going through like these evolutions, but they didn't address any of that. They didn't do any of that in the movie, and it was like, oh man, you missed such an opportunity to really get into like a really rich character. But anyways, but I think the MCU's been, I think that's what's been helping make the MCU so strong for so long, is they really pay attention to the development of all the characters. And that's what happened in episode 8 of WandaVision for me, was like it was just really about Wanda and Agatha Harkness. It was like just the two of them. And obviously we had scenes with Vision and other things, but it wasn't, it was really focused, which made it so good, and then you got some, cinematic quality about it too. So that's some of the comments we got. Let's see if that was on the last video. Let's see if the first video I posted got any comments. I'm not sure. I don't think it did, but we'll check it out. Oh, we did get some comments. Anything about the show? Barry M again, huge fan of the MCU. Oh yeah, but I watched it 3 times. That was the episode 8, what we were talking about. Cool. But yeah, so if you want to, if you want to respond to or give your own thoughts or ideas on anything we were talking about on the show, go over to YouTube and comment on the comments of the videos. Anyone really, but this one would be the best probably. Find the most recent one. So what else anything else about WandaVision we should bring up? Maybe it'll trickle in. I don't know. I'm super so like the whole point of starting the show was to talk about Falcon and the Winter Soldier, as a starting point. But obviously I started with WandaVision. One of the things that came up on the John Campea show was this idea of what's going to do better. Like, how are you going to define, like, how, WandaVision was such a success, critic, I mean, I don't know about critic, just the amount of like public response to it was such a success that people are thinking like, well, how is Falcon and Winter Soldier going to be able to follow this up? And, the thing that I'm falling back on is like, it's potentially going to be such a different storytelling style that it'll be really hard. When you come to which will be better, like if they're both quality, if they both tell, obviously WandaVision, we already know it's great. So that already got an A+ for their effort. So if Falcon and Winter Soldier gets an A+, it's like, and then you start to go like, which is better outside of like monetary value or views value. Like, you never know. I mean, just because something gets more views doesn't mean it's better than something else. I'm not judging it on that. I'm judging on the quality of the storytelling and the quality of the production. Like, if all that is on par with each other, there isn't really like one that's better than the other. And so we'll see. But maybe Falcon and Winter Soldier will make a misstep. Like, there are some MCU movies that aren't as good. Like, I think my personal, like, one that pretty frequently gets rated down in the bottom of the top list is the Thor: The Dark World. Usually lands down there. Unpopular opinion, but I don't feel like Black Panther was a very good storytelling movie. But that's obviously unpopular because it is one of the most biggest grossing movies of the kind of whatever, the collection of them. But as far, it just felt too much like a basic comic book movie. It didn't really feel like it had that layering that happens. Like, it was what I want to talk about today a little bit is like, what is the kind of a layer that Falcon and Winter Soldier is going to have on it. Like, all these movies, like the best of the Marvel movies have had, it's a superhero slash buddy comedy or slash heist or slash espionage, like thriller type or something. Like, all the movies started to have like a very, it's not just a comic book movie, it's like it's skinned in something else. So what's the skin of Falcon and Winter Soldier going to be? And it's pretty obvious. I mean, they started to say, even the actors have said it, that they're going to be like a buddy cop type of vibe, like a, Lethal Weapon is the one that I keep falling back on. And even in some of the previews, in the previews, you can see it. It's like they're like friends. They like each other, but they bicker. They're like a old married couple kind of vibe is what I'm getting with it. So it'll be interesting to see where it goes. The question I have about it is really, so this is they're telling us they're really leaning heavy into that vibe. It's like, they're leaning heavy into the action, they're leaning heavy into the buddy cop vibe. They're really leaning heavy into certain parts of this, what we've gotten used to with the MCU, like the comedy's kind of coming back a little bit more than we saw in WandaVision. Like that MCU style comedy, that levity that they bring into it. Even though, things are blowing up and people are dying, they still manage to like throw in something that's makes you laugh. Quirky. But my question is, what is the thing that we're going to go, oh, I didn't expect that? Like, what do you think that is? I really feel like they're going to add an element to the story that is like I didn't expect that, kind of like some heartfelt something about maybe the relationship between Bucky and Sam. Who knows? Maybe they'll talk more about the contemplation of Captain America and what the friendship relationship that of the three of them, and the fact that he's not there, and I don't know. There's what is the kind of thing that's gonna like elevate the whole story from just an action adventure buddy cop kind of vibe to like, wow, this was a really good story of character driven thing, or are they just gonna be like, screw it, we're just gonna have fun and blow shit up? It's like, is that what they're gonna do? So we'll see how that plays out. Let's see what else we got to talk about. So what else did I write down? Questions. What do we think? So that's basically the big thing. That's the big question, is what do we think the vibe of the show is going to be about? I'm going to jump into I'm just going to jump into some general MCU topics. This is going to be, it looks like it'll be a shorter show today. I got like 5 minutes left on my video. We'll see. Maybe I'll restart it. But I wanted to see what you guys think about how they're going to introduce mutants eventually. Do you think how that's gonna happen? No, first question is, do you think they'll reference. See, okay, so no, they probably won't. So like originally the order of Falcon and the Winter Soldier and WandaVision, it was supposed to be before the pandemic. It was supposed to be Black Widow, then Falcon and the Winter Soldier, then the Eternals, and then WandaVision. And that was according to New Rockstars, Eric Voss over there. I watched one of his, and so it got me thinking. Like, I was like, are they gonna reference the Hex in Falcon and Winter Soldier? I mean, they still could. I mean, what is the timeline? Well, we don't know exactly what the timeline is between when the two things happened. But they could reference it. Yeah, like, do you think they'll reference the Hex in Falcon and Winter Soldier, or is it so distant? The one thing, so okay, it's kind of leading me into this question I started to bring up with how are they going to introduce the mutants? Because one thing I've noticed about the Marvel Cinematic Universe is they keep it tight. Like they keep the time of things that happened fairly tight. Like the battle of like the first Avengers movie, like when they discovered, they were being assaulted, and then the whole battle happened within a fairly short amount of time, it seems like. So that, if there were other entities out in the world, essentially, it's like they may have been doing things on their own. Like let's say mutants, a Professor Xavier or whatever could have been battling things on their own, or it was just like, oh, this battle happened and finished before it was even needed, before we needed to bring in other, because even like Endgame's the same way. It's like, the Hulk comes crashing down into, the Infinity War, the first part of Endgame, the Infinity War part of it. The Hulk comes crashing down into Doctor Strange's, place. Then all of a sudden, that happens to be while Tony Stark is there, and then this kind of thing all happens, and then right at a moment later, you have the bad guys show up, and then this whole thing just happens. Like Spider-Man's there, then all of a sudden they're on the ship, they're out. It's like it happens within a fairly short amount of time. So it's like by the time it's all over, the X-Men or whoever maybe were busy doing something else. I don't know. Which, I mean, you could explain it that way. Like they could have been existing this whole time, but they were just doing other things. But the fact that they never reference them makes it kind of unbelievable. But they could, and I think they were aware of that. I think Kevin Feige was possibly aware of that fact. Like, let's keep it tight so that if we want to explain that there was mutants here the whole time, there's an easy way to explain it, Possibly. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, we'll see where that goes. But it kind of leads me into, so because Falcon and Winter Soldier, from what I understand, they're going to this place called Madrigal. I'm going to look it up real quick. Madrigal. I don't know. Madrigal, MCU. Let's see if I didn't spell it right, but Madrigal, Wolverine. Can't spell. I don't know, but anyways, the town. Maybe I'm probably pronouncing it completely wrong, but the kind of city place that they go to a few times in the previews is like this place that's kind of associated with Wolverine. So they're starting to, they have these opportunities to connect dots later on that were just kind of like not explored fully. But we'll see where that goes. Curious to see where, like, I'm curious to see the explanation of how Zemo got out of prison or whatever. Is it all part of like he got out because of the snap and things were chaos, or I don't know, or he was snapped and came back, and when he came back, he was like, "Oh, I'm not in prison because this prison is not here anymore." Or I don't even know, whatever. And what is the name of the enemies who are the other bad guys in Falcon and Winter Soldier? Is it called the Hand? I don't know anything about them, so I'm interested to learn about them, um, and see where that goes. The Hand. But yeah, we'll see where that is. And then the fact that this girl was able to like knock Bucky off the in the previews, was able to like beat up Bucky. It's like, oh, there must be some super stuff going on. And Batroc the Leaper is supposed to come back from Winter Soldier, which I did watch. I watched Winter Soldier and Civil War recently just to like kind of catch myself back up with this relationship of not only Falcon, because Falcon got introduced in Winter Soldier. I mean, yeah, they both did. They both got introduced in Winter Soldier, and then Civil War was like the scene where the fight scene in the airport was when they started to introduce this buddy idea between Falcon and Bucky, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, when they're fighting Spider-Man, and the banter that happened between them. So it'll be fun. It'll be super fun. I'd love to hear your thoughts on what you expect the show to be like. If you're stoked for it, if you're not stoked for it. I mean, if you're probably not listening to this at all, if you're not stoked for it. But I'm super stoked for it. I can't wait. I love it. But yeah, so we'll see. We'll see how this all connects. The last thing I want to, two things. The things I'll leave you with today. One is, what's your take on like Marvel fatigue or superhero fatigue or comic book movie fatigue? Do you see, is that a reality or not? Like, a lot of people for a while have been trying to say that we're going to get tired of these MCU movies eventually. And basically the bottom line is, until they start making bad ones, it'll keep going. But also my take on it is if you look at it through the lens of Star Trek and Star Wars and James Bond and any of those franchises that have been generational, I think the MCU is going to be one of those types of franchises that just keeps on going, and there's always going to be a market for it, mainly because of the foundation they've set up. This initial like run, I mean, honestly, everything has been quality. Even the bad ones, like I mentioned, the Dark World with Thor: The Dark World, like that was still not a terrible movie. It just wasn't as good as the rest of them. So like the fact that they've laid such a solid foundation, it's like even if they do have some more misses in the future, their foundation is rock solid. So people will always be interested. And then you're going to start getting into, since the foundation is so good, you're going to start getting that generational turnover where people will start feeling nostalgic for this original foundation. And so that'll be a whole nother thing. Like already, like people were nostalgic because of the comics, but then there's going to be a generation of people that are being nostalgic for the movies themselves. So yeah, I don't see it's even I think they're beyond the idea of, Marvel fatigue. The idea of fatigue is not even a reality, I don't think. I think they've established themselves that they've transcended any kind of concept of fatigue. That's what I think about it. And then also just let's throw in the comments what your favorite MCU kind of moment or movie has been so far. Where do you stay? What's your favorite movie? What's your favorite character? So my favorite movie is Thor Ragnarok by far. Like, I love that one. I've watched that one probably more than any of the others. It's such a fun movie. It's so good. And yeah, really enjoy it. And then my favorite character, which I've been saying, is now Jimmy Woo from WandaVision. Favorite character in the entirety of the MCU. I really hope they use him more as they come back. But so those are my favorites. What are your favorites? Leave them in the comments of the YouTube and let me know. But until next time, thanks a lot for hanging out. If you want to support this, it's, you can find Patreon is a great way to support it. On YouTube, they now have the applause button. I've set that up so you can hit the applause and donate directly to it. Of course, just your viewing of it and hanging out with me for the last 30-40 minutes has been amazing, so appreciate that. So all right, until next time, Be loving, kind, and patient. Peace.